lead to love, the love inside your heart. Victory to the light that shines in your mind. Earth, sky, and stars.
Namaste. Hi yogis, we're broadcasting from almost 11,000 feet up at Echo Lake Campground in Colorado. This is one of our annual trips up here. We love getting out to nature, which is perfect for the Sagittarius Full Moon that's coming up on June 14th. And we're giving you your astrological report from that full moon all the way to July 13th. There's a lot going on in this report. It seems like we say that every time, but we're giving you a full moonth of information. And Katrina, what do you got?
Well, after we looked at all the aspects, we came up with the theme of, are you who you say you are? And it's more of a question, I guess, rhetorical question. But a lot of the planets, as they move into different signs, are kind of pushing that question. Are you who you say you are? And it starts off with that Sagittarius full moon, which Sagittarius is all about truth, all about that sense of being in alignment with integrity and rightfulness. And so that begins the whole month of Are You Who You Say You Are with that full moon energy on June 14th. And then the very next day, Mars is conjunct Chiron, and we felt that had a lot to do with it too. You want to explain that one?
Chiron, as a reminder, is the wounded healer. The name comes from the Greek tradition, but the archetype of Chiron, that wounded healer, shows up in many traditions all around the world, including Jesus being a wounded healer, if you see that perspective. And Chiron is in the sign of Aries and is making a 7-year journey through there. And Aries energy, while it associates with the masculine, let's put it to a non-gender word, which is yang, or it's still gender, but it's not the same connotation as our Western perception. And yang has to do with our willpower, our strength, our ability to stand up in our persona, and in the right way if it's aligned with the soul and spirit world. And Mars has a lot to do with that same type of energy. Mars is in Aries, Chiron is in Aries, they're coming together. And Chiron has been investigating the wounded masculine or wounded yang energy for everybody, no matter what gender orientation or way that you describe yourself. We all have yang external energy that comes out of us. And so lots of times with wounded masculine energies, we're not who we say we are. And it's not that we're necessarily trying to be a bad person, but maybe we don't feel empowered to stand up in our truths, to stand up in our unusualness, stand up in our spirituality, and so we put on a mask and pretend to be something else, something less potent, something fake.
There you go. That's a big one right there. And so then the next day, June 16th, is another one that we felt kind of was in alignment with the theme of Are You Who You Say You Are? Sun's in Gemini and it's squaring Neptune and Pisces. Also, Sun is trining Saturn, which is in Aquarius. Sun squaring Neptune, the whole Gemini piece itself is about information or misinformation. Gemini likes to know things, it's curious, it's very analytical, it's very judgmental for that matter, and it can really bring up a lot of questioning. So that begs the question, are you who you say you are? And the sun is our outward expression of who we are. So Sun in Gemini is, are you being who you are? That alone is it. But then when it squares Neptune, it brings in a different flavor. You want to explain that one a little more?
Neptune is our spiritual path, our connection to source, to the unified field. But when it comes to squares, Neptune brings up things that have been misaligned, delusional, addictional, lies, mistruths, or things that just aren't in alignment with the way, the Ratam. So, and this is a first quarter square, which can be the more intense of the two squares. It's bringing the things to the surface that were once unconscious, unseen, and unknown. So this can kind of be like a shock, like, whoa. So Neptune can reveal things that were lies or were misinformation, as Katrina said, and it can be very shocking and disorienting and chaotic.
And this is about the self. This could be shocking to yourself that you have been living a lie or misrepresenting yourself, and you're coming into realization of that. And as I said, Sun is also trining Saturn, which is in Aquarius. Saturn is retrograde, and Saturn is about karmas, about justice, about fairness, about law and order. And so, as the Sun squaring Neptune on the same day is bringing up some of this misinformation, Sun trining with Saturn can help bring it into alignment. So, June 16 is all about being real with yourself. Like, let's get to the truth. I am not doing this, and I am acting like I am. Or, um, you know, maybe it's calling it out on somebody else. It doesn't have to be just self, but that Sun piece is a lot to do with self. Sun is also the paternal energy in our sign. So looking to father issues as well. There could be some stuff as we approach Father's Day at that time as well. There could be some stuff around dad. So again, gentle. We don't have to, you've been lying to me, but we could gently bring this up as a way to maybe mend some fences. But remember, everybody has stuff in their backyard. So when we're pointing a finger at you've lied to me, make sure your own self is clean too. Then the next day, summer begins officially. It's June 21st, summer solstice. The sun will move out of Gemini and into the sign of Cancer. And on the same day, Venus is going to trine Pluto. And we felt that this had a lot to do with are you who you say you are too, because whenever you bring Pluto into the picture, it's bringing your soul, the deep soul of who you are into the picture. And Venus is your values, and it's trining with Pluto. So trining with your soul. Your values and your soul are in harmony together. On this beginning day of summer, the longest day, the most light, it's a chance for us to really take that step into who we are. Yes, I am who I say I am, as a way to answer the question. And then, of course, Sun into Cancer is a whole new energy, and you want to speak to Cancer energy.
Cancer is energy about nurturing, listening to your intuition. It's water element, so it's moving differently than quick moving fire or air. It's more about getting in the flow and taking time to feel and process and understand things. Cancer is also the sign that associates with mother, maternal, matriarchal, and family. So a lot of things come up around family. On a harmonious side, this is the time where families, at least in the northern hemisphere, get together in the summer. They gather in warm places. They share meals. That's the positive archetype. This can also, our theme of are you who you say you are, relate to the family orientation. Are we presenting in our family dynamic truth? Are we communicating? Are we being our authentic selves in that place? The answer could be yes. I mean, this is a sweet energy with Venus trine Pluto, so maybe good family energy that day.
Or a time to reveal yourself to the family if you've been playing small or just capitulating to their needs because you don't want to rock the boat. Maybe this is a good time on this first day of summer to, this is what I stand for. This is what I believe in as Venus values moves into or trines with Pluto. Maybe it's a time to take that stand. And it's a hard thing to do for sure, because that is a core element of our being, our family. But I also feel that that Sagittarius full moon that kicked off this whole thing is saying, be your truth, be the truth. So the more our species comes into evolution, the more it's saying, how much longer are you going to wait for this? And then right after that, Venus on June 22nd is going to move into Gemini. So the Sun moved out of Gemini into Cancer, and Venus moved into Gemini. And as I said, Gemini is all about curiosity, wanting information, wanting to analyze and look things up and know things. So your values, Venus, are looking for some more information. So maybe this is a day to really kind of sit and contemplate, sit with self and contemplate about what it is that you hold dear and true as your value. Who are you? Maybe it's a question for that if you are re-evaluating who you say you are. Then June 28th, Cancer new moon, and also whenever there's a new moon, the sun and the moon are together. So the sun and the moon will be squaring Jupiter in the sign of Aries, and then Neptune is also going retrograde. So June 28th, big day. You want to speak to some of those aspects?
The Cancer new moon is retouching on those themes that we spoke about with Cancer, with family, with being your truth, with nurturing, and it's a new cycle, so that energy is in the field. Squaring Jupiter is a tough one. That Jupiter energy is the same as Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the ruling sign. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. So this is about, are you being truthful? Are you trusting and having faith in what your soul or intuition is telling you? And Jupiter is also the sign of questing and visioning and going deep into the soul for something. And so this may say, it's time to have a deep look, because Jupiter is in Aries, close to Chiron, close to Mars, in that same energy. Are you being in the right way with your masculine yang energy? Are you positive masculine energy? Not often said, but I love what one of our astrology teachers, Kaypacha, has a list on his website of about 25 positive masculine values. And one of the top ones is open-heartedness. You don't often hear that put to the masculine, but open-hearted masculine takes care in a tender way of the feminine, of things of the yin, and it's very respectful. It's a good leader. It's potent in its energy. It knows where to direct things in an appropriate way. It's kind. Those are all strong masculine energies. And the Neptune retrograde, this one, it's doubling down on the sun squaring Neptune. Neptune's going to be retrograde for almost 5 months, so well into the fall season. And when Neptune's retrograde, it is dissolving like a tidal wave, washing over anything that's not stable, has a sturdy foundation, and taking it out to sea because it's not in alignment with spirit.
I think when you were talking about the open-heartedness and Chiron also right there of this sun and moon square Jupiter in the sign of Aries, Chiron right there, Mars right there. It's a piece of are you who you say you are? To me, this has a lot to do with in order for us to be who we say we are, we need to clear out some of the shizzle. And are we looking at our core wounds? Are we doing the shadow work around some of the things that hold us back, that keep us callous, that keep us chained to our old ways? And this sun moon squaring Jupiter is saying, are you looking at it? Are you really, pulling things apart and looking at it as well? And so I would add that in there, like this could be a little bit of shadow work, and it's on a Cancer new moon. Cancer, emotional, very emotional. So it's hard. It's hard to look at some of our faults and some of our little idiosyncrasies and our habits and our patterns and our addictions and our shortcomings, and taking ownership of them. And not only taking ownership of them, but then deciding what is the best step towards rectifying them, healing them, resolving them, bringing some resolution to some of these wounds that we carry. So this could be kind of a day of ouch in our big-heartedness, but don't let that damper that big heart. Let yourself kind of move into it gently. Cancer, take your time, water your emotions. And remember, new moons are great for setting an intention. So as you sit with this information and sit with yourself and kind of feeling it all out, then turn it into a little ceremony. I set an intention to let go, to heal, to clear, to take ownership of some of these things that are holding me back. And then if we don't do it, the very next day, July 1st, Mars squares Pluto. I want to talk to that one.
In astrology, Mars and Pluto are considered to be octaves of each other. Mars is your very personal self. It's your desires, your wants, what you put out into the world. It can be the balanced positive yang masculine. However, that happens when Mars aligns with Pluto. Pluto's the soul, so it's like a pyramid. The base of the pyramid is Pluto and the tip is Mars, but they need to be harmoniously aligned with each other for it to work. It means the ego knows that there's a soul and it bows to the soul and follows the messages of the soul, the direction of the soul. When it comes to a square, Mars is like, I want this, and the soul says, that's not good for you. Mars says, I'm going to try it anyway. Trouble bear.
Trouble bear. Remember, Venus was trining Pluto earlier on June 21st, and that your values were in harmony with the soul. And now this is Mars squaring Pluto. So it's that opposite energy of Venus. It's kind of the aggressor is fighting with your soul. And I always try to look for the upshot on this. Sometimes challenging things kind of break things down and pull it apart, suss it out, so you can look at what's really there, and that might be the outcome of what comes on this. But be prepared for a little bit of a fight of some sort, you versus you mostly. But sometimes we get defensive whenever we feel our stuff coming up or we're called out on our stuff. This could be a day we're being called out on some of our stuff. Somebody else saying, are you being who you are? And who you say you are, and then we get defensive, and that's very Mars energy. So be aware of your defenses coming up, and maybe if you have that heads up of it, you're not so apt to draw your sword, and maybe instead say, yeah, you're right, I take ownership of that, thank you. And that helps to give the heavy hand to the soul side of that battle between little self and big self, really is what it is. And really, as we enter into July, there's a lot of big pulse coming through, because we've mentioned this in previous reports, but as we're talking about Pluto, Pluto is the soul representation of self. And so when we won't ever have a Pluto return in our lifetime, because Pluto takes 248 years to make a complete lap around the sun, so we won't live that long to see our Pluto return. But the United States is having a Pluto return this year, this July, and all the days moving up to its Pluto return. We were born on July 4th, right? So the actual day that Pluto is exact in its return is July 11th. And so, as I said, as we march into July, there's some big stuff, starting with that Mars square Pluto. And then we have Mercury in Gemini trining Saturn in Aquarius on July 2nd, and also Mercury squaring Neptune. What do those Mercury energies mean?
We maybe have noticed so far in this report, if something's activating Neptune, it's also activating Saturn, particularly if it's in Gemini. And so it's a double down. Saturn is karma, laws, rules, your wisdom elder, and Neptune is spirit, God, one, universe. And it's this double check in. Mercury is message, information. It's not about right, wrong, left, right, black, yellow, whatever it may be. Mercury is like, this is just the information. And particular Mercury is relating to the soul. Mercury is a PsychoPomp. It's the one that goes into the soul, retrieves information. Saturn is the energy that evaluates, is this in alignment with karma? Is this good for the collective? Neptune says, is this tuning into one love and universality? And so it's kind of a mixed bag. It's like you get Saturn there as your helper, but Neptune is no lightweight. Neptune is like you have Saturn at the helm of a ship, but you're out on chaotic waters. And thank goodness Saturn is there helping steer, but you're still a little scared because the tide and the waves are 40 feet high.
And we talked about summertime is a lot of time for family, the Cancer moon energy, Cancer new moon energy. We come into July, picnics, 4th of July, all the celebration. So this could be a time when you're with a lot of family and a lot of this is coming up. So again, have awareness around your defensiveness and your representation of self. On the 4th of July, Mars is going to move into the sign of Taurus. So it's been in its home sign of Aries. It's going to move into Taurus, an earth sign, the bull. So this strong, assertive energy moving into a steadfast, bull-like energy. Be careful. And Mercury is also going to move into Cancer on the 4th of July. So Mercury is your communicator. The way you speak your words is moving into this emotional, Cancer, watery energy. So there's a lot of good that can come out of Mars moving into Taurus and Mercury moving into Cancer on the 4th of July, but there's a whole lot of potential for strong words to be spoken and feelings getting hurt, things being said that you don't want to say. And so again, I would say, are you who you say you are? And then stand in that truth, but maybe throw in the caveat of do it with grace. You don't have to go in with your battle axe up, because this is an emotional time. So keep on in July, the next one, July 8th, the sun now in Cancer is going to be squaring Chiron back in Aries. So here we go again, some looking at our wounds. How would you speak to that one?
This is going to keep recapitulating the theme. Sun, your persona, who you feel you are, is in Cancer, and so it's a feeling sign, not a thinking sign. It's not cognition, it's intuition, sensing, emotional intelligence, and it's squaring the masculine, the yang that's been wounded. Are you who you say you are in your masculine energy? And how do we heal that? All of the squares in this report, by the way, are first quarter squares. There's third quarter squares and first quarter squares. First quarter squares are when something has come out of the darkness and first awoken to our consciousness. And so it can be shocking, unsettling, surprising. Then it's going to go through a cycle where it goes to an opposition and then another square. That next square, which happens in this case 6 months down the line, is then healing, putting things together. You understand the problem. You've had a chance to work with it. Have you done the work because you've been shown what to do? So this is also be a little soft on yourself, not or compassionate. Like if something's coming up that you didn't realize before, okay, don't go overboard. Don't try to be a martyr or try to be super defensive, but go into the place of be welcoming, listen, sit down, take a moment, think about it. Or feel about it. That's the Cancer element.
I see a lot of sensitivity here. I see a lot of potential for healing, because you might be doing that deep shadow work, sun in Cancer, having a good look, and squaring Chiron could just be more of the sussing up and pulling it apart and taking a look. But I feel that this whole front week of July can be really sensitive for people. So just watch the emotional energy, check in with it, feel your feels, don't push them away, because are you who you say you are is part of I'm feeling sensitive, I'm feeling emotional, I'm feeling a little on guard. That's okay, but we don't have to react in a strong emotional way, but feel the feels. And then, as we've been talking about for a long time, July 11th, Pluto is having its return on the United States of America. And so, just as we ask when any Pluto energy with ourselves, it's a soul check in. And so, when Pluto is coming around to its return to the United States, it's, hey, America, are you who you say you are in your Constitution, in your Bill of Rights, in everything that you set up 248 years ago? Is that the right number? 248 years ago, when you set the tone for how you would like to move forward as the land of the free and the brave. Are you who you say you are, America? And you know what returns are? If not, you take another lap around, another 248 years to try to heal what you've undone or taken out of alignment. And, when I look at that question towards America, I think that we've lost a little bit of our course here of what we set out to do when we founded our sense of nation. And some things needed to be undone. Some things weren't rightfully set into motion from the very beginning. This was not our country to take in the first place. And so there's some things coming up around that. But also some of the things around, authoritarian and dictatorship and freedom of speech and those kind of things that we set into motion. I don't know that we've held those to the tight line that we've needed to hold them to. So some things to take a look at as we come back around, and then maybe tweak it and get it back into alignment individually as well as collectively. So it's a big day, July 11th, as we look at that, and we'll feel it on a vibrational level. It's not like somebody's going to get up to the podium and speak up to our Pluto return, although maybe there's a ton of astrologers out there. There could be a ton of them doing such talk. But I doubt the President of the United States is going to stand up and talk about our Pluto return. But there'll be some other indications that the universe is saying, hey, Americans, is this really what you had in mind for the good of the whole?
And this is a year-long process, by the way. I mean, it's more than a year, but this is the second of 3 Pluto exact returns. The first was in February. Pluto lined up, went forward. Now it's retrograding back. It'll pass. And then later in the year, it'll go back over that point again. And so it's knocking or ringing the bell 3 times and saying, everybody, pay attention.
I know for me, I need to be rung upside the head about 3 times to get a message on some things that are hard for me to get. So I guess I'm grateful for that. 3 rings. And then we come up to July 12th. Mercury is going to square Chiron.
Sound familiar?
And Venus will trine Saturn. So it's always these trines and squares on the same day. So as one is kind of hard to work with, the squares, there's a sweet little trine in there that helps to bring some harmony flow into it. Do you have anything to say on those particular?
That we've already kind of hashed that out, but I'll talk about the trine and square energy. I think that there's a lot of potential for healing and transformation with the trine and square on the same day. The square brings up the issue, that what's out of harmony, and the trine says, how can we resolve it at a different level? And so it's like when you have a problem, but then you get the brainstorm on, I can see the solution. And so it's don't get stuck in the square, bring in the trine. And this is happening all throughout the report. So I think while we said it could be difficult, this is also a really ripe time for great shifts of energy and kind of in the flow. It's not like they'll be resisted if you try to step into the solution.
I think the sun moving into Cancer and that Cancer new moon is asking us to step into emotional maturity. That way, when the squares come into play, we can rise above our defensiveness and stand in emotional maturity like, this is tough, this is hard, but I understand that this is something I need to work through. And then you use the trine energy to harmonize that situation, as Michael said. So emotional maturity is a big piece of it. And then we conclude, we'll pick you guys up on July 13th with the Capricorn full moon. That's a whole other ball of wax, and that one will be reporting from Greece.
True that. Yamas.
Yamas.
Thanks for tuning in, yogis. Are you who you say you are?
Right.
Namaste.
Victory to love, the love inside your heart. Victory to the light that shines in your mind. Earth, sky and stars, 10,000 suns shine within us all. Give praise to the one. Victory to love, the love inside your heart. Victory to the light that shines in your mind. Earth, sky and stars, 10,000 suns shine within us all.